Could we see more British players heading to Serie A in Italy? Well, a rule change this week could allow that to happen. We're going to talk about that and more here on Pints and Punditry at Total FIFA Career Mode. Welcome back to Pints and Punditry. Today I want to talk about a rule change in Italy that could allow more English players to go play in Serie A, which could open up doors for those players as their home league, the Premier League, gets incredibly more competitive and sees an influx of international talent come in. But also, it's going to raise the bar in Serie A, which is quickly becoming what I think is the second best league in Europe, although that's up for debate, and I would love to get your opinion on that. Definitely comment below on this and all the other topics we're going to cover today. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button for me, like the video while you're at it, and follow us on Twitter at TotalFIFACM, where you can always chime in over there as well. So the rule change that took place was the governing body of Italian football changed the rule that was currently in place in Serie A, and that rule had said that you could only have 2 players on your roster from outside of the European Union. Well, as we know, England, the UK, left the European Union a few years ago during the Brexit ordeal. And I'm not going to get into the international politics, particularly as an American, but from a football standpoint, what this meant was that British players now counted the same as non-European Union players, and thus Italian teams were limited to having only 2 on their roster. Not just 2 English players, but 2 players from any country that is not part of the European Union other than Switzerland, which had always been granted an exception. England and the UK is now going to be part of that exception, and that opens up a ton of doors because there are a lot of English players who are now feeling squeezed out by English teams. The Premier League is obviously pulling away from the rest of European football, and they have become truly a Premier League. It's them, and then it's the next 4 leagues that were a more equal Big 5 at one point. But the Premier League is definitely pulling away, and what that's doing is it's bringing a ton of non-English talent into that league. So your second and third tier of English players are really feeling the squeeze, and they're not going to get the same chances in England that they may have once received, and so they need to seek second tier football elsewhere. Some of that's La Liga, some of that's the Bundesliga, but by opening up Serie A to those players, that opens up a lot of doors for clubs like Inter Milan and Juventus, and really top-tier Champions League level clubs. For Serie A, this is great. That allows a new influx of talent, and they're already challenging La Liga as that second best league in Europe, and it's very much up for debate. I'd love to get your comments below on what the second best league in Europe is. Is it La Liga, is it Serie A, or is it the Bundesliga? I would argue it has been La Liga for a while because of the talent at the top. With Real Madrid and Barcelona, that is really tough to compete against. But look at what happened last year. Napoli ran away with the league, and then both Milan teams made it to the Champions League semifinals, and Juventus is sort of a disaster right now, but you can never rule them out. So there is really a wide open competition in Serie A for who the best team is, and depth makes for a good league and makes for good competition. La Liga doesn't really have that. Outside of the top 2, they've got Atletico Madrid and a few other competent teams, but really it's very top heavy. And obviously with the Bundesliga, it's the same way with Bayern Munich and to a lesser extent Borussia Dortmund and a few other clubs that compete and produce talent but are not on that same level. Serie A has raised the bar, and now this rule change opens up the door for even more talent because there's such a talent pool in England of British players, and they don't always have a club to play on because of the international talent that's coming into England to the Premier League because of all the money. So there's this trickle-down effect. So by opening this door in Serie A, this allows those players to have another home, and now you may see that second tier of Italian clubs start to raid the second tier of English players, which will be an upgrade for them. So this opens doors for a lot of players, a lot of clubs to make additional moves, spend some money, and give players an opportunity to play at a high level. This can only strengthen Serie A. It can only help raise their bar, and I think if they're not already the second best league in Europe, I think this could be the difference maker to get them above La Liga to that platform. What are your thoughts? Is this a big deal? Is it not a big deal? I definitely don't know European politics, but I understand the game and I understand the transfer market, so I think this is a big factor, but I'd love to get your thoughts down below. Hit that subscribe button for me while you're at it. Hit that like button to help the video out and help the channel out, and definitely follow us on Twitter at TotalFIFACM. Thanks as always for joining us here on Pints and Punditry. This is Total FIFA Career Mode.